TetraCast.
Why wait to see if you'll get something you like this Valentine's Day when you can go to BlueNile.com and find something you'll love? Whether you're looking to treat yourself to a little winter sparkle or show a galentine how much you appreciate them, Blue Nile offers a wide selection of high-quality designs, expert guidance, and free 30-day returns for the ultimate peace of mind. You can even design your own jewelry. Right now, save up to 50% at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
Whether you're a diehard sports fan, a hopeless romantic, or a comedy aficionado, the Xfinity 10G network was made for streaming it all. Worry less about buffering when streaming your favorite shows, movies, or live sports and enjoy a better way to watch. Xfinity gives you a reliable connection for streaming plus all the entertainment you love all in one place. Fear not, because now you can finally sit back, relax, and stream your favorite entertainment and sports like never before with the Xfinity 10G network.
Welcome to the next edition of Missing the Point Boston. I am Hollywood Rayshawn. We came with my guy, Marcangelo. And the question I asked tonight is MCP Boston Universe. What do you want to talk about? Because there's a lot of things to get into, man. But before we get into the atrocities / great play that we've seen, man, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing well. It's you just look so damn happy for all the miserable shit that we're seeing on Sundays, regardless of the time. That I know that this is going to be an interesting hour together.
Yeah, no, listen. Once again, people that have talked to me or seen us do the show weekly or have talked to me on the phone, text message, send me different things. I think people were looking for me to be, like you said, irate and ready to throw chairs and say I like once again when I now know what's at stake is that their next franchise quarterback can be in that draft. I can't be upset because this is supposed to be the best QB draft we've seen in at least 4 or 5 years. So I can't be mad at that. Once again, I wanted Trevor Lawrence a few years ago. They chose to say, hey, we still could fight and be that team that we were the last 20 years. Well, that's not the case now. And, and it's rearing its ugly head now more than ever. So it's going to breed change. And I think because it's going to breed change, that's where my excitement draws from. So let's just get right into it. So they're now 2-8. We had lamented, or mainly me, I lamented they should be 1-9 at this at this, but the Bills chose to wet the bed, and you'll hear more about that when we do our Power Ranking show later on this week with DK and Bobby. They'll do a deeper dive into that. But they're 2-8. They lose on the international stage. To the Indianapolis Colts 10-6. Just what were your thoughts after seeing that game that we had to get up at 9:30 to watch that atrocity on Sunday morning?
Yeah, I mean, it's just fitting for your intro. Like they are the American Nightmare, the New England Patriots. I mean, it's bad. Mac Jones, he had such a terrible game, and a lot of the atrocities that he committed won't show up in the stat line. He had 1 pick; he should have had 3. And in this case, he missed open receivers, and you saw that when you saw Billy O'Brien just freaking out at him on the sidelines. Like it's been about 10 years or so or more since we've seen Billy O freaking out like that at a quarterback on the sideline. The differences between when that happened with TB12, he responded. That did not happen this time. I thought that some of the shining stars it's still Pop Douglas. Like he is someone that should be featured in the next incarnation of the New England Patriots.
Yep.
I think he's earned his way. I mean, he caught 6 of 9 targets, 84 yards, I think. And he's the only guy that's open always. Like he can find a way to be open. I thought that the defense, did a great job. I mean, you don't think about it this way, but Indy is a top 10 scoring offense.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know that, but we held them to 10 points. And sorry,
And
I put all of this on Mac, but Bill was made to look like an idiot for for drafting a kicker that can't make a 33-yarder.
right, right, right. And once again, now listen, they wouldn't have been 5-5 because of Nick Folk. So I want to make sure that that's put out there. Certain situations, I think they would have gone to Nick Folk, so they still get points on the board, and they haven't this year because they didn't trust the rookie kicker. And my thing is just like, how does that happen? Well, once again, you draft him that high because you believe that he has, and once again, he does have a strong leg. You can see that he has that leg is there. But it's a confidence thing, and that position more than any other position outside of quarterback. If you're not confident in that role, it is going to show, very quickly, and it gets ugly. And obviously, it changed the situational, football in the second half when he missed that basically that chip shot of 33 yards. So yeah, I mean it's crazy. Once again, we are starting positive before we do if we go any further. The running game finally showed up, and once again, we had talked about it. I think a couple of weeks ago when I was with you, I missed it last week. But we were looking for a moment where can the running game have a game where they say, okay, we don't have much for the passing game. Let's see if we can get it on the ground. And what do you know? For 40, 50 minutes, they had a really good game plan on the ground. Stevenson looked like Stevenson the old. Your boy Zeke actually looked good on the ground too. So I'm like, okay, here we go. It's on once again. It's on a silver platter for your guy to come through again. And what does he do? What does he do again? Off his back foot, which he had time. And then that's what pissed me off. It's like, bro, yes, you've had PTSD because the line is not blocked for you. We
Sure.
can see that notion. But in the time that you've had time to throw, the fact that you're still throwing off your back foot, and my God, it looked like me throwing to my 10-year-old nephew in the backyard of my brother's house. It was just like, what is happening?
He was open. He was open. He was
wide open. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, and so people say, well, why would you put Billy Zappa at the answer either? Because I want to know how many of y'all would come in under that circumstance and succeed. So just to sit there and bang the drum, bang your chest about Billy Zappa not being the answer because he came in and did what Mac had been doing all fucking year. Pump the brakes, relax. Keep taking a sip of your beer. Shout out to my guy Roman, and just enjoy the show because like that to me was comedy. It's comedy.
It shows you how little faith Bill has in Mac Jones because he put in a guy cold on the final 2-minute drive. The guy that he cut and told the rest of the league you can go out and get
right
because he lost so much faith in him too. Like I think this game was, we heard the real RKK talking up this game all week, how it's so important. It's 10 years in the making. This is like, the second to the Super Bowl for him. And they came out and laid another egg offensively. I mean, it was, that's as bad as of offensive football as you will ever see. I promise you. I promise. Bad.
Yeah, 10. I'm like 10-6. But that's the thing. And that's where it goes to show that he still can put together a defensive plan that's going to stop whoever. And that's what's most infuriating about this. Once again, you said they did this to Detroit last year, right? Detroit came in, was going 30 a game. We shut them out. Where's Zappy being the starter? Like, I don't know. It just, to me, to be so inept offensively really has caused this franchise at least being competitive, right? Once again, it doesn't matter who's put out there defensively. They have found a way. So obviously, we'll get into the Jack Jones news in a few, but it's amazing to me how he patchworks that defense. He's done it for a long time, whether you have stars or not, and they just produce. And it like I said, it's a shame because he tries to patchwork the offense, and it's like, bro, this is not 1997. You can't just put guys together and think that it's going to, that they're going to produce. That's not the case.
The thing about Bill, I think that a majority of the league has passed him by. I think we can both agree on that, right? But what has not passed him by is that he made it known to the rest of the league. I think back in, we'll call it 2010, from 2010 to 2014, when he went out and got Revis and Browner.
Yeah.
That it doesn't matter what happens between the 20s. Doesn't matter. Bill doesn't care if he has a quarterback that goes against him and throws for 700 yards. He will throw for 10 yards between the 20s. That's it. And he can still do it. And to your point, this game wasn't even about him shutting down the number ones, because Jonathan Taylor, he had his looks. He had 23 carries for 70 yards. I mean, not great, and a touchdown. Michael Pittman, their star wide receiver, had 8 catches for like 84 yards. Their two best guys put in their two best effort, and it still wasn't enough. Now, that is probably because Gardner Minshew was the quarterback. But again, I laugh because I believe that us fans and fans of the New England Patriots right now would take Gardner Minshew 8 days out of 7 over Mac Jones this year.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was some even people on Twitter that was claiming for that. Listen, I'm not going that far. Once again, I have all year. But there's no. There's a reason why he's lifelong backup. I think in the heat of the moment, for sure, folks are saying get him out of there. They'll take a high school, they'll take a guy at Franklin High over Mac Jones, and I think that's a bit that's a little too far. But yeah, he obviously, his days are definitely numbered, and that leads us to what I'm going to ask next. Is obviously he gets benched. That becomes the story, or one of the stories from Sunday. So just, is this the last time we're going to see Mac Jones as the full-time starter here in Foxborough?
So before I answer that question, I need to ask you one myself. Do you think Bill's going to try to win games or try and tank?
I think he's been trying to win, but it's not good enough. That's where I'm at.
So do you think that he'll do whatever he thinks is necessary to put the best team out to give them a chance to win?
Yeah, I do.
Because contrary to what we've seen, I still think that's Mac Jones. I mean, and I don't think, listen, this was a damning game on him. I think even he thinks he's lost the starting job.
Yeah.
But he was the only quarterback listed on the depth chart out of the 3 that are on this team right now, week 1. I mean, they let go of Malik Cunningham. They waived Bailey Zappi. Nobody wanted him. So it probably should be, because he's broken. Now, I think that if we can shit on Mac all that we want. Here's what we know. We know that in 2021, when he came into the league, he looked serviceable and almost pretty good, right? He was a quote-unquote Pro Bowl. He's the same guy. And 2 years later, he's regressed so much that he can't be trusted with a 2-minute drill. Yeah. Whose fault is that? Who do you blame for that?
So it has to be a mix of both. I think people want to put it solely on Mac or solely on Bill. I think it's a matter of both, because my thing is his calling card coming into the league was how he processes information. And you don't forget how to process it. I get it. You're learning different terminology, different philosophies. That can have a stronghold on how you succeed. I acknowledge that. But if your calling card is, or your claim to fame is that you process quickly and that you know how to check out of things when you see a defense. So if you motion your running back and you see someone follow, it's like, oh, okay, now I know I'm a man. Or if you motion a tight end from left to right or right to left and you see nobody move, oh, okay, now I know I'm in zone. So that has gone away for whatever reason. And
do you think that that's the case? Because I think pre-snap, he still has it. I think the problem with Mac is, in my opinion, is that if his calling card is that he can process information really quickly, he doesn't have the physical talent to do what he needs to do on the fly if things fall apart, because
Right.
he knew enough in that play to roll out to the right and to start backing up, but he doesn't have the arm strength to throw off of his back foot and still hit the receiver in the end zone.
Right. No, and that's a fair point. I just think, to me, I don't know. I mean, well, so you said the pre-snap is still elite, which is okay. That's fair, but it's just like, to know to check out of that, and then, I mean, you tell me you can't make a 10 to 15-yard throw.
No, I know. I'm
You're not saying you gotta zing it in. And once again, his predecessor, Tom, early in his career, Tom wasn't a guy that you thought can zip it in there and throw.
Yeah, but
His first big throw in his career was the game winner to Troy Brown in the 2003 season, week 6. That was his first, like, oh, okay, he can throw it down the field. But that he was Mr. Check. He was Charlie check down for most of his early career until, some guy never came along. So
2 things, right? In the 01 season, you saw Brady's ability to put the ball wherever he needed to put a ball. And I can just say in that Super Bowl, just the exact same play to David Patton in the corner of the end zone against the Rams. That took finesse and strength, right?
Well,
and Mac doesn't have. He has the finesse part. He just doesn't have the strength part. And when I said that he's still elite pre-snap, now I think that there have been so many things that have gone wrong for him this year. But if just to articulate my point a little bit more, we've seen Romo on a call with calling the Jets game, when he called out the fact that Zach Wilson checked into a run play that was wrong. It was so wrong, and it leads to bad things. Can you honestly say, when have you ever seen Mac Jones check into a play that didn't work fundamental? Whether he fucked it up towards the end, that's a different thing. But the right play, always.
No, most times he gets that right. It's just a matter of, my thing is, a lot of the, I mean, I know it's a different thing from Josh McDaniels to Bill O'Brien, but it's like, dude, his touch throws were still really good. Like you said, it goes back to the finesse part. Like, to me, I felt like, granted, I know he only played 2 or 3 games in 2021. I always felt like, they still been trying to replace, James White. I feel like someone like that would have been huge for his development. And we saw the first 2 games, right? That Miami game, his first game, he was able to throw out to James White. James White was there to get you 7, 8 catches. That settles you down. Then it's like, oh, I can find Hunter Henry in the seam route. Oh, I can find Jonathan Smith. I can find Kedgy Bourne. So, he's a rhythm guy, and most cornerbacks are, but he's really a rhythm guy. Where it's like, okay, he need to see 4 or 5 just go. Then it's like, okay, his 4 or 5 could turn into 12, because once he starts them to slow down, then it's like, okay, now I can pick you apart. But we didn't see that. We haven't seen that really since the Minnesota game last year.
But some of his throws in this game, especially to Pop, I mean, they were in the exact right spot at the exact right time. They were timing throws.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so fucking confusing with him, right? It's because you see, I think, so for Mac for his calling card to be that he processes the game at an elite level, and I think that that's true. But I think one of the caveats that we never thought about, and it's easy revisionist history now, is that when you look back at his career at Alabama, he was never put under stress, really, ever.
Right.
So I think we overvalued the fact that because there's one thing, like Peyton Manning always knew what the defenses were going to do based off of what he could check into and based off of his line audibles. But what everyone fucking forgets is that he always, up until his Denver year, had the ability to get the ball there.
Right.
Mac doesn't have that.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know whether it's like, because I remember, we talked about in the preseason, he came back, he seemed like he was in better shape. So he was in better spirits. So it was like, okay, you came in excited thinking that, okay, new coordinator, new, some new toys, so to speak, as I put in quotations. You thought, okay, maybe he would revert to some of what he had his rookie year. Because once again, we'd have been fine with 23 touchdowns, 11 picks. Totally fine with that up here. Totally fine.
Yeah.
Because once again, you knew the defense was going to be enough. Like, personally, I just wanted him to be Alex Smith. I'd have been totally fine with that. Now, Alex Smith is way more athletic than Mac Jones ever was, so I want to be clear. But early in Alex Smith's career, he was definitely someone, 21 of 30, 250, 2 touchdowns, maybe a pick. I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
Totally fine with that. But when you're 19 and 29, 161, and 2 picks, then that's a problem. It's a problem. And, it's just, to me, there's never been a balance all year. Once again, you had a chance for things to be balanced on Sunday. And then, things just went south very quickly. So
the misconception about that, though, in my opinion, is that the Patriots team, this offense is kind of an anomaly in the sense that most defenses, when they blitz too much, the running game will gash them, and then they drop back in coverage.
Right.
Defenses against the Patriots can just blitz every single play if they really want to. They didn't. Like Indy only brought pressure, I think, on 25%. They were getting through with 3 or 4 rushers, but they don't. Defenses won't stop blitzing Patriots because they're worried about the passing game. They know that the offensive line is in such disarray that if there is a play action, you're still going to get to Mac within 2.5 seconds.
Yep.
And his ability to process things is then sped up. And then he thinks in his head, I'll just run backwards and throw. I can make the throw. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So as far as what you were saying about the offseason, we thought it would look better. I don't want to speak for you. I thought it would look like an offense.
No, I did initially. Yeah. I did.
I thought, and then in the Philly game and in the first Miami game, it did. But somewhere along the way, Bill O'Brien has been unable to scheme around the offensive line deficiencies, wow. and it's come through. And maybe that's too much of that's too tall of a task to ask for him to do, but it's become very apparent because those two teams did not blitz Mac, but they stopped the running game. Right. And if Mac has to throw the ball 45 times a game, you're going to lose. But you just know that. Right. So now they just figured out, okay, you know what? We'll rush 4 every time. And then maybe, 1 out of every 4 times we'll rush 5 and we're going to get to him. We know we're going to get to him. And even if we don't, he thinks we are going to get to him. So he's going to make a mistake.
Yep. And that's the same. So my thing is he's completely
broken.
He's broken. He's punch drunk as at this moment. And I think it's better to cut the losses. Like I am personally ready for the Will Grier era for the rest of the season. I'm ready for that. Zappy don't need to come out. I want Malik Cunningham to be around.
I mean, Germany was chanting Bailey Zappi.
Yeah. That's what they saw on TV. Like they don't know what's going on.
They weren't wrong, but I mean, to your point, they weren't wrong.
Yeah, they weren't. I mean, once again, we've seen, and yes, it was oversimplified last year. We get it, but we saw for 2.5 games, we saw something that we was like, oh, okay, like he's throwing a type. Once again, Tyquan Thorne, who many have deemed a bust, had his best game with Bailey Zappi. Devontae Parker had some of his best catches when Bailey Zappi was on the field.
Well, because Bailey can throw 50-50 balls.
Yeah. So it's just like,
and Mac, whatever he doesn't do it. He either throws the perfect pass to his receiver or he throws a perfect pass to the defender. There's no between.
Once again, perfect practice quarterback. Once again, do you think they pick up the 5th-year option? Because I don't. I don't. Yeah, that's well. That leads to it. Do we see Robert Kraft making a drastic change then? And now they go into the bye week.
No.
I think that's a bad.
I think it's as hard as I've been on Bill, and as much as I believe that he deserves to bear the majority of this, he has earned the right to finish the season. He does not deserve to be fired mid-season or after a bye week. Listen, we won 6 Super Bowls. We went to 9 under his tenure. And I think we agree that the majority of that probably, it's lightning in the bottle, but
he's actually been in 10 with us.
Well, 96, but not as a head coach,
Right. Yeah. So,
He's earned the right to finish out his season. Yes.
No. So okay, sorry. Let me rephrase. So that made it seem like I want him out the door, tomorrow. Which I mean, I wouldn't cry about if that was the case. But I'll say this. I feel like the convo should be, if we're going to keep you at the end of the season, Bill, you can coach this team. Because, there's still moments where you show, hey, I can shut down the best player on the field. So you've shown that. But you are no longer making any decisions when it comes to the draft. Like, I can't allow you to do that. I can't allow you to set this team back 50 years because you want to pick a fucking long snapper from Appalachian State at pick 3. I can't let you do it. Can't do it.
Yeah, I mean,
there's too much contingent upon, like, there's too much talent at that top for him to take the tackle from Penn State. And once again, he's really good. So this is not a knock on him. I just you can't do it.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I mean,
you can't do that. Sorry.
I think Kraft and whoever he appoints as the next GM, because there has to be another GM. They can learn a lot from what Cincinnati did 2 years ago. Cincinnati had like the worst offensive line in the history of the NFL in 2021. Was it? Yeah, 2021. And Jamar Chase was available along with a tackle. They needed a tackle. They didn't need a wide receiver. They drafted Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow has never been the same since. Like,
Right.
he has brought that team to AFC title games and to Super Bowls. So that can be done, but you need to have the right QB and the right wide receiver.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think we don't have anything like that right now. And I think there are a lot of problems. I think quarterback is a problem. I still don't think it is the biggest problem, but
what's the bigger problem with QB?
Head coach and GM.
Okay. Well, honestly, it's really the GM aspect.
GM.
It's really the GM side that needs to be
GM and the head of personnel that decided to do what they did last season.
Yeah, because I'm like, listen, him, Matt Groh, I forget what's back there now, but it's like, dude, like,
don't matter. Get out.
Yeah. There's never been any succession plan. Once again, there was so many heads in that, Dable, McDaniels, Weiss, Crennel, some of those guys are Parcell guys, but Mangini, Flores, Dimitrov, like there was so many people they had. Casario was now doing a phenomenal job in Houston. So for those that thought that he was Bill's stooge, well, he's showing y'all now, hey, he know how to pick talent too.
Yeah.
And for him to get Stroud, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, who I wanted up here, Damian Pierce, shout out to my Gators. Singletary, who didn't do much in Buffalo, but is killing it down there in Houston.
Yeah.
His evaluation of talent, bringing on D'Amico Ryans as a head coach, who obviously played in Houston, so that buy-in was there. They're creating the New England South down there. Whether people say it openly or not, I'll say it. Because CJ Stroud has been another sort of amazing. And once again, we'll let Bobby, have the floor with that whenever they do that show, this week. But man, it's been great to see. So, yeah, some got to give though.
Can I just say one more thing about Bill's the biggest problem about Bill? His free agent spending in 2021 and the failure that was exacerbates his inability to draft anyone in the first round in the last 10 years. Because we talked about on this show when he did that, we talked about it with Karen Garigi back in 2021. You can go back and listen to it. Mm-hmm. Teams that spend obnoxiously in an offseason usually buy themselves 2 to 3 more wins the year prior, and then they fall off a cliff the next 2 years. That is exactly what has happened.
Right.
And Bill, every chance he has had to get guys like T. Higgins, DJ Metcalf, he has taken N'Keal Harry and Tyquan Thornton.
Yeah, but it also goes back to, one, obviously you have to be healthy, right? So those guys have been healthy in their respective locations.
N'Keal Harry was always healthy here, just couldn't catch.
True. But it's like, but also too, and once again, this is not, we don't know what would happen, but I still stand by that call against Kansas City changed a lot of things here because you had them on the we're not looking at Kansas City the same way if they didn't win that game because they was in it, and that's the last time there was some real juice in that building. You know what I'm saying? So we look at that moment a little bit differently. We may look at him a little bit differently if they maintained the score because he scored and they chose not to give him that call and it changed everything.
Yeah,
unfortunately. So it is what it is. But yeah, I don't know. To me, I like the Bourne signing. I liked Hunter Henry signing. I even liked John signing at the time, right?
I love it.
Yeah. And I just like, but once again, what he's doing in Atlanta shows he's still got a lot left in the tank. Word to Mark Henry. It's there. It's there. Once again, I think he had a 64-yard touchdown. I think it was either Sunday or last Sunday, and I'm like,
wasn't this Sunday?
But I was like, that was still there. Like that was still there. So I just think some guys have a hard time adjusting to being up here, especially under this regime. So he was one of those players, but yeah, I think there was still, because once again, I always felt like he was always able to figure out how to get guys from other places and then make them even better. Judon is an example.
But Aguilar and Johnny Smith, by week 5 of this year, both of them had more receiving yards than they had all of last year.
Well, so what does that say then? Because we up here we called them, we said they were scrubs. So what does that say?
I think Aguilar is in the right spot in Baltimore, where he's your number 3 or number 4. He's not your number 1, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's to put your third best corner on him, who can just streak down the field. He's going to be open a lot of the time. And Jonnu isn't typical tight end. He works better when you have a guy like Kyle Pitts, who's going to be taking on the majority of the either the safeties or the linebackers that are going to be spying him. I mean, he's going to be open more. I think schematically here, Jonnu should have succeeded more than he did, because Hunter Henry did take a lot of the offense, a lot of the defensive pressure away from him. But he was just mired by fucking drops and weird injuries.
Right. And what's also wild too, I think about, because remember when Gronk was going to get traded to Detroit?
Yeah, 2018.
The pick they would have gotten was TJ Hawkinson.
Oh, Bill.
That would have been just, you want to talk about a Gronk replacement? TJ Hawkinson would have been, he leads baby Gronk. Like, dude is killing it. I think he had another 10 catches from 130 with Josh Dobbs on Sunday. On Josh Dobbs. And that's what we had too. That's another thing why I'm killing Mac too. Josh Dobbs gets traded in midseason. Once again, everyone deems Minnesota season to be
midweek.
Midweek. Oh, it's over. Justice Jefferson's on thing, we're just gonna do whatever. And Josh Dobbs comes in there, old as well, right? So we come old as well. Even though he's been playing, but he was cold for that game. Comes in, wins the game in Atlanta, wins it. Makes the final plays at the end. Then, just past Sunday, same thing. It's like, oh, okay. Like, this dude is becoming what he was supposed to be out of Tennessee. That's what we're seeing right now. He was really good at Tennessee. And plus, people forget, because obviously once you become a backup, people think you're an automatic scrub. He was really good coming out of Tennessee. And how now people are seeing what people thought he would be coming out of Tennessee, 5-6 years. So,
but he plays like he has something to prove. Mac plays like he's already proved it in college, and now everything's going wrong. That's a difference.
Yeah, no, sure. And then, and once again, we've seen it with Geno Smith. I love this. I love the comeback story with Geno. Josh Dobbs is about to get paid because of what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And I love that for him. Because I say, who knows? Maybe it's at Minnesota because Kirk Cousins is gone.
I mean, for fantasy owners, he just saved a lot of the people's seasons that have Justin Jefferson on their team, because he's going to try and come back this year because they're still in the playoff run.
And as he should.
Right.
So I love that for them. I remember when we were a destination to get certain weapons, and whether it be on offense or defense. Now, we're stuck with fucking, Farrell Brown.
He's a sneaky weapon, though. He is sneaky.
Yeah, sneaky weapon. But then that's what we're down to. Sneaky weapon.
Yeah.
Some guy
It's
that's
like
get things on, in the first half. It's like it's a joke.
He's like the JJ Stokes of 2003 for us,
Yeah, it looks great. As their friend got so Russell was just like,
I'm out.
All right, guys. When you got here too, right? Another guy, you're just like, all right, you were supposed to be, who you were, but then you got here, you're like, gonna hang it up back instead. So
Yeah,
that was wrong. Speaking, let's get into the future though, right? So, obviously this is we're not Phil Perry and Tom Curran. So for those that listen to this, like we're not doing this mega, big board and having all the draft experts. One day we will though. But just not this time. But there's 3 guys I want to talk about that could potentially be in a Patriot uniform next year. One of them you've seen in person. So Jayden Daniels, Amarion Hampton, who's a running back from UNC, and then Keon Coleman, who is a wide receiver from FSU. So I just want to go in order so we don't have to go say on the super long. But just thoughts on those players. Are those guys you would want to see in a Patriot uniform? If not, if there's somebody else you could think of in the immediate future, like to see come in.
Yeah, so I think from a future perspective, the dream scenario is that the Patriots somehow find themselves in a position in the top 3 where they can draft Marvin Harrison Jr. And then we just hope that Jayden Daniels falls to the top of the 2nd round, because this Heisman push that he's making right now is real. I mean, he's got 3,100 yards, 30 TDs, 4 interceptions, 900 rushing yards, and 8 touchdowns too. And he was as of last week, he was projected to be in the 2nd round. If he can stay in the top of the 2nd, and you could walk away with Harrison Jr. and then Jayden Daniels as your first 2 picks, you've just reinvented the franchise. And oh, by the way, you still have $91 million of cap space next year.
Right.
Followed by $210 million of cap space the year after. Right. Yep. So go out and get some mercenaries, buy yourself a fucking offensive line. And I love it. I think having seen Jayden Daniels in person, I think I told you all this. I went to the Mizzou game, Mizzou LSU game, back in October. The man already cost me $150, so we're already starting off on the right foot. He's a weird, interesting quarterback in the sense that he looks and he acts for 75% of the game like a game manager, right? But he's also an amazing playmaker. When the play breaks down, he can beat you with his feet. He can throw a 40-yard fucking bomb and hit you in the numbers. So I think he's special. Omarion and him. Sorry, I don't care about running backs. That's Bill's fault, and he's been right about it. If you get him in like the 3rd round and he's there, great. I don't think he will be. But if you have the ability to do what I just said and get Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jayden Daniels as your first 2 picks, to do that. I like the fact that Hampton, he's a weird guy. He's a power runner, but he has tons of speed. Not a great pass catcher, but I think you can probably develop those, right? Like he's been fine his last 2 years because he's a sophomore. He hasn't been a prolific pass catcher at UNC. But the thought of him in the backfield with Ramondre, I've told you this before. I don't think that you need to have a number 1 running back to win a Super Bowl. However, if you can have 2 diverse running backs in your backfield that do different things, then you're talking about teams like the Patriots were with James White, with Danny Woodhead, with every other variation of that backfield. But Keon Coleman, man, he torches defenses. He lit up LSU. Absolutely lit them up. He's like N'Keal Harry, but he can catch. 6'4", 215. that is what you want. And I think his 40 speed is it a 4 or 5? Fine by me.
Something like that. So,
I mean, but the best thing about him, which I think would make him more of a Patriot guy than most other wide receivers out there, is that his route running ability is, I would argue, it's second to none. He creates space in the route, and there could be a defender right next to him. I was watching some of his highlights because you sent me his name yesterday, and the amount of one-handed catches that man has made, but not stretched out one-handed catches, side pocket one-handed catches, and that's not an accident, right? He creates the space, and the quarterback knows where to put it, and he knows how to catch it. So I was super excited that he picked these three people. I think now in my head, I can't get over the thought of having Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jayden Daniels. If you Keon Coleman too, then wow. But that's my take.
That's what I'm saying. To me, well, I'm greedy. Give me all four. Give me all four. Give me Harrison. Give me Hampton. Give me Coleman. And to me, I think half of their picks at least should be on offense. At least.
Yeah.
We need to revamp the offense completely. And the reason why I brought up Hampton is because I forget the game he had the other night, but I think he did really well on the ground, but he also had 8 catches for 50 yards, right? And I think that, to me, if you develop that, once again, you have your James White replacement. Once again, you need the safety valve. And for whatever reason, Ramondre didn't become that again this season. Which it was just a very weird season for him overall. I still think he could play at a high level. I just think that he probably just have seasons where it doesn't all come together. But so that's why I looked at Mario Hampton. I will always look at a running back, and that's just I think for me, that's where I'm old school. I'm building up the middle. Get you a line, get someone that can run it, and then run sets up the pass. I know that's not today's NFL, but I firmly believe you look at guys. Imagine we had people to throw whatever we could throw to when Cam Newton was here, and the way they was top 5 in running, and then it was kind of mediocre weapons. But I think about, damn, if he had some weapons there, the offense would have been unstoppable, right? That's how I see it there. I just feel like the run needs to set up, because if you're going to get a young quarterback in there, you need a guy that's going to be, or you need a guy or two that can alleviate some of that pressure off of your young quarterback. Once again, we just talked about C.J. Stroud, right? They're running for 125, 130 a game. That's huge because they can't put everyone there and focus on Stroud. They have to focus on the running game as well. When that does, it's like, oh, okay, let me go to Nico Collins. Let me go to Dalton Schultz. Let me go to Tank Dell. Let me go to whatever safety valve is in that play. So I just think just having that balance is really huge, which is why I looked at Hampton. And then, Keon Coleman, man, dude is special. Dude is real special. And like I said, it hurt me to pick a guy from FSU because I am a Florida Gator. Knowing my luck, we're going to trade Ricky Purcell, which is a wide receiver from Florida. Ricky is good, but he's not Keon Coleman.
6'4".
Ricky Purcell probably had the best catch of the season. He caught it on third down. He caught a one-handed grab like this, but he's a senior for a reason. This is like, he was that good. He would have came out either last year or the year prior. So, and like I said, you already said what need to be said about Jayden Daniels. That dude is the runaway Heisman favorite right now. Once again, it went from Caleb Williams being a runaway to, obviously now they've lost 3 in a row. They're looking real shaky. My guy Drake May is still looking good. It's funny how it's almost like they watched our show, right? Because I don't remember too many Patriots fans like, oh, Drake May. Now all of a sudden, I'm seeing all through Twitter and X, oh, Drake May, you're a Patriot. Really? I wonder if you guys tuned into missing the point, because I didn't see a lot of you guys talking about Drake May being that guy. But once again, if you can't get Drake, I'm totally fine with with him coming, with Jayden coming, or maybe get another quarterback in the later rounds. But you got to be a
question. If you have, all right, so Drake May and Marvin Harrison are still on the table. when the Patriots picked, and you think that Jayden Daniels is going to be out there in the early second round, what do you do? You don't know it. Like it's not a guarantee that Daniels will be there.
So,
But
Seattle being in the late 20s scares me when it comes to Jayden Daniels because he looks like a quarterback that Pete Carroll would pick. That scares me. So if Drake May is there at 3, you take the quarterback. Take him. Take the quarterback. Take him. Take him. And I get it. I know Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be he's going to be someone we say is a can't miss product. I get it. But if Drake May's there at 3 or 4, whatever you get him drafting, take the quarterback.
I disagree. The reason why I disagree is because if you take Drake May and let's just say that all the other people that we talked about are off the table, and there are going to be other draft prospects out there that pop between now and then. But do you bring in Drake May to throw to Devontae Parker? To throw to
I'll say this. So, Pop Douglas, yes, we just said we wanted to be a part of the future.
Sure.
So Pop Douglas is fine. We won't bring him up. But I'm saying, if you go that route, right? This is where now you look to free agency, right? Michael Pittman is a free agent, right?
Devontae is here for the next year or 2, guaranteed.
Okay, but it doesn't mean he has to play. You got Michael Pittman. You got who I've loved him for a long time, and Mike Evans. You throw whatever money you can at one of those 2 guys and say, come here to be our number 1. If that's the route you end up going with Drake May instead of getting, Harrison. There's a kid out of Washington, Rome Odunze. I don't think he falls out the top 10, but someone always falls. He's another guy that can be that can be picked in the later round. So you got Johnny Wilson also from FSU. So there's some other guys that you can get there. Obviously, Harrison is the guy. Excuse me. Maybe Brock Bowers drops.
Instantly though, right? Just in this vacuum that we're operating right now.
Mm-hmm.
Marvin Harrison Jr. makes everyone else on that offense better by him being drafted than Drake May being drafted.
Yeah, no, I mean that's fair. I'm so worried about them finding a Mac replacement because you need one at this moment. Like you cannot come back now. Once again, if you're saying you're gonna beef up the offense completely, where it's going to look like it was in college for him, where he doesn't have to think as much and he can just throw to whoever. Because once again, we showed it. He hasn't been super accurate this year. But we've seen him be super accurate. So if that was the case, and you just beat him so much that he just can't fuck up, okay, cool. I don't trust that. I don't believe they're gonna do that. And I don't want that ground. I want a brand new. That's what I want. I want a brand new start, and that's just where I'm at with that. I can't. I can't.
Real quick before you move us over to the Celtics, your early coaching predictions for 2024.
So, Gerard May will be the head coach, and they find a way to get Ben Johnson over from Detroit. They throw a lot of money in from over here.
So, I don't think Gerard's going to be the next guy. I think the plan was for him to be the next guy, and Bill. I would say the Kraft probably thought that Bill had 3 sustainable years left when they brought him back, and promoted him and signed him in the offseason. But I don't think it's a lack of Gerard being a good coach. I don't think that Kraft wants to ruin him in case it's a bad year, because as you know, black head coaches don't get as many looks as white head coaches. Right. So first impressions matter more for guys like him. It's just true.
Oh no, facts. Yeah, true. That's true.
So I could see them bringing in like a bridge of offensive-minded coach where Gerard can learn from, and then he can be the guy for the next 10 years after that, moving forward.
Well, then my thing is cool. So then that fits right to what I'm saying. Bring Ben Johnson over here. Then let Ben Johnson be the head coach. Then let him do that, and Mayo be the guy behind the scenes. Be his Joe Mazzulla to Brad Stevens, because that's what it was. and then let him take over. Perfect. I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. Totally fine with that. Well, Detroit has become a contender under this man's leadership as an OC. Bring him over here, please, please.
I tell you what,
He's made Jared Goff look. Maybe who knows? Maybe he, worst case scenario, you turn Mac into something, but under the rookie deal, which that's probably what cracks my mind.
I don't know who Detroit's GM is, but you need to get their assistant over here fast because they can draft.
Agreed.
They know how to draft.
Or you throw the
Pittsburgh.
bag. Pittsburgh, but or you throw the bag at Casario and say come back.
Oh no, he won't. He doesn't need to.
I know. And we know he doesn't need to. I'm saying, but you throw the bag and say, hey, I'm sure he respects Kraft. A lot of them do.
Yeah.
Goes back and says, okay, hey, I'm gonna give you X, Y, and Z. And you go from there.
But I don't know how many more first round picks they have from the Deshaun deal, but that team's only going to get better these next 2 years. Like they're going to add some more people around that, and he might have just built the AFC South perennial, division winner for the next 5 to 6 years.
Yep. I mean, they had that with Bill O'Brien too. You forget. Yeah, that's a run over there too. So, we'll see. But speaking of good runs, the Boston Celtics, baby, in their first 10 games, man. What have you learned about the team so far?
So a couple things. I've learned that we don't need to overreact about the bench. I think the bench could use some improvement, but it's still good enough. I think you're seeing an emergence of Sam Hauser this season, as opposed to what he did in the postseason last year, where his minutes were getting restricted, even in that Miami series. And now he's actually a formidable bench player. But let's just call it what it is. This is Jayson Tatum's world, and we're all just living in it. I mean, he finally, I think he's hit that ascension point where he threw down 35 last night against the Knicks, and 17 of them were in the fourth quarter when we needed them the most. So he's playing. The difference between it's becoming more and more apparent to me this year. The differences between him and Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, to get his points, is a lot like Marcus Smart in the fact that he needs volume. He needs the shots. Tatum doesn't need as much. He's still going to score his 28 to 30. Yep. And he can do that in 16 shots. Jaylen Brown needs 24, and he's not going to get 24 when you have Jrue Holiday, Krisaps Porzingis, Jayson Tatum, Derek White rising to the occasion, and Al Horford. So you're seeing the separation of the two, in my opinion. Their defense isn't, in my opinion, it's not the best. It's not bad. I think it will get better. I think they got defensive-minded people on that team, especially Derek White, especially Jrue Holiday. And I do think that JB and JT can lock people down when they need to in the spurts. But we are seeing a little bit more of Porzingis falling out of like the defensive thing that he created, like those first 3 games where we're like, whoa, he's a rim protector? No way. Like he hasn't been that his entire career. Well, he's not that. He can be that for a couple of games. But ultimately, this is the best starting 5 that we've ever seen, talent-wise. It might not turn out that I think 07, 08 Celtics, everyone in everyone's mind, or even, we weren't alive for the 86 team. But the 08 team had grit. This team has pure talent. Now, can they transmit that into a championship in grit? I don't know. But through 10 games, their only kryptonite so far has been, in reality, was Philly.
Yeah, I mean, well, also Minnesota because of how big they are up front. So with Cat and Rudy Gobert, and obviously, and Embiid was Embiid.
Yeah, but Cat's a pussy. But he is. He is a pussy cat.
But I'm just saying, just from a side standpoint, like it bothered him. So I mean, we can say that he's soft. Once again, I'm a fan of this game, though. To me, I don't. I am, yeah. Once again, you can, and I say this all the time to people. You cannot. It is hard to wake up. It's the same thing with the Jaylen Brown thing, right? People get on him. It is hard to get 27 tonight, meaning for Jaylen Brown. it's hard to be, and you get 25, 12, and 2, and you're quote unquote soft. That's hard to do. That means you have some real talent that you can wake up and be soft and get 25, 12, and 2 just cause. Like that man could play. And once again, and maybe because I have a different thing of what's happening with him off the court. And yeah, there's some moments where he could be a little more tougher for sure. I won't sit there and say that. But like I said, it's hard to get 25, 12, and 2, you know, just cause like that dude, he could be a 50, 40, 90 guy if he wanted to. And that's insane for a guy that's 6'11". So I just think we don't watch him as much because he's in Minnesota. I'm talking about just the regular fan. I mean, we don't watch him enough. And it's kind of like the same thing. I feel like now obviously we knew KG was a dog from day one in Minnesota, right? But I feel like it wasn't until obviously you put him around a team that's like, okay, yeah, you can be the best player for us, but just go out there and do your thing. Like we don't need you to do everything for us. I would love to see Cat go through a different scenario where he didn't have to shoulder the load as much and be like a number 2 to somebody, which he's becoming the 2 now because Anthony Edwards is that guy. Like he's a problem. And he made sure that we found out that he was a problem last week. But once again, we're speaking Team Green. So I go back to the Celtics. But yeah, listen, your point on Tatum, I wholeheartedly agree. He has taken another leap, which is crazy to even think about. But him putting himself in the weight room, him having the willingness to stay okay. I'm gonna get 4 to 5 buckets in the paint. I'm gonna pass out the mid post, and something I've mentioned on the show, on all the platforms that I've been able to speak on. Can you score from all 3 levels? And that's what he's doing. That's what Jaylen Brown's doing. That's what Holiday's doing to an extent. KP is doing it. So they're touching the paint a lot more. And those lulls that they were going when they wouldn't hit threes, it's not bothering him as much because now, it's like, okay, but we're dumping down to Porzingis. He'll get a 2, get an N1, and okay, that ends the run. And it's like, oh, it was that simple. It was that simple years past, but you're not throwing it down to Rob Williams, and you're not throwing it down to this version of Al Horford. Once again, this version. Once again, in Atlanta, sure. Here, no. And that's totally okay. You made a point about the bench though, so I'm wanting to circle back to that. I'm still a little concerned about the bench. I am. Once again, your point about Hauser, correct? Yes. And Rick, this is for you because Rick's been getting on me. My boy Rick, he's like, man, you've been getting on Hauser. Hauser can actually play. You're being too hard on him. Da, da, da. So yes, for right now, Sam Hauser has been everything they needed him to be. My thing is, we got to get something eventually from Brissett, from Stevens, maybe even Pritchard. Like one of those 3 guys, or maybe 2 of those 3 guys, need to be a key rotation piece. I don't want to be the 2005 to 2010 Phoenix Suns where we're only running 7 to 8 guys out there. But now, once again, you'll get to the conference finals. We got there. That's not the problem. But by the time you get to the conference finals, you're gassed. So I'd rather have a 9-10 man rotation in the regular season than you shorten it when the playoffs come. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the bench, right? Like for the regular season, to your point, you have to have at least 8 to 10 viable options on the court. What you can't have is a guy like Peyton Pritchard, who I think deserved more money, deserved a bigger role. He's getting now, I think, like 20 minutes a game, but he's only putting up under 5 points a game. You need more offensive production from him. But to your point, yeah, Brissett needs to be there. Stevens needs to be there. If you could say that in the next 20 games, Peyton Pritchard is going to, again, it's going to be 20 points, 20 minutes a game, but he's going to average 8 points. You're going to get Sam Hauser to continue to average, just under 10 points a game. You figure out this whole, do you consider Horford, is he a bench player? Is he okay?
Yeah.
Is he okay with coming off the bench? Because if he accepts that role a little bit more, and you can get him up to, up to 8 points a game instead of under 5, that's where it is. Like if you can squeeze out another 6 to 8 points per game from this bench, then you're fine.
Right. Yeah,
because then they're not a liability.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I just think that Joe, and in this case, I like him for this. He's going out trying to win every game. There is no, well, let's just manage this, manage that. He's like, look, I'm putting the best 5 who I think is going to be out there, and we're going to kill it every night type thing. So yeah, no, that's once again that's a
But to your point though, if they fucking blow out teams twice a week, and people don't need to play much past 5 minutes left in the third quarter, then you can run this. You can run that off. I mean, you can run that for as long as you can, and you're still going to be saving minutes for guys like, Tatum and Porzingis. But in this day and age, it's hard. It's really hard. And I know the NBA has that whole new rule about not benching players. But I think that I think that a majority of the stars, they want to play as many minutes as they possibly can because they all have bonuses tied to it.
Right.
And then they all have deals or potential MVPs or accelerators. So it's really, really fucking hard to tell a guy like, like Tatum, hey, you're only going to play 34 minutes a game instead of 38, even though the extra 4 minutes over the course of an 82 game regular season, would really fucking help us in the postseason.
Right. Correct. Yeah. I mean, but once again, when you're scoring 30 in 27 minutes, it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's all right, bet. You know what I'm saying? It's great. But yeah, I mean, but then that's what the coach and coaching staff is for. Helping players see the forest from the trees. You have to, yes, get your stuff, get your issue right now. Cool. But there's a great, especially with this team, there's a bigger goal in mind. And yes, MVP is great. First team, second team, third team, all NBA, great. Most improved, defensive player of the year, all that. Those are all great accolades, great individual accomplishments. But what you'll be remembered for,
Banner 18,
19, 20, whatever, so on and so forth. Like that's what it should be. And I think you have guys here that are meshing together at the right time to say, you know what, okay, we've been knocking at the door, for a while. It's time to kick the door down and hold that trophy up. And, once again, I think the additions of Holiday and Porzingis have been invaluable. And for those that have been crying about the loss of Smart and the loss of Rob,
who does that? Who cries about Marcus anymore?
You're not on Twitter like that, my brother. It's ridiculous.
I mean, has he elevated that Memphis team, or are they still 1-8?
They've won a couple games since then. He had a really nice play the other night.
I saw.
I'm like, that's Marcus Smart personified. Like in one play, he almost loses the ball. Then he does like a Francisco Lindor type flip to the teammate. They score. They go up. So yeah, I think that obviously that their record hasn't been super great, but obviously I mean, and then we lose Rob. And then Rob is down for the
season.
Unfortunately, and that's unfortunate. Now Brogdon has looked good in Portland so far, which I figured he would. Because once again, he's an 18 a night guy when healthy, and that's what's going on. So, I thought it'd been cool to keep him, but I'm like, once again, you get an upgrade of him by bringing Jrue Holiday over. How do you say no to that? And once again, Jrue Holiday has been great here. Like I said the only game that he was subpar in, I think was the Minnesota game. But other than that. That dude has been great. He gets about 8 rebounds a night. You're gonna get 7 to 8 assists from him, and timely buckets. He never wants to take away from what Tatum and Brown are doing. That's the biggest goal. So for those who are like, this Marcus and I didn't know you let go of those guys. You needed a guy that's okay. You know what? I've won elsewhere. He just reached the 15,000 point mark, right? So obviously he knows how to score, but he's like, look. At this point in my career, when I'm in my early 30s, I just want to be part of a team that's going to, get it done. And he's been a stabilizing presence. And him and Derek White are very, very good starting backcourt. So
Yeah.
I'm pleased with what I've seen from Holiday. I'm pleased with what I've seen from, Porzingis. And
I gotta ask you a question. 'Cause I'm hearing some things and seeing some things on the interweb and some local sports talk stations, but you're in that building. Um, I'm I'm hearing that we shouldn't be surprised if Al Horford requests a trade because he does not like coming off the bench.
so I haven't heard to that. I think that it probably was a tough conversation to have with him, because he had been a starter for a majority of his career. He only had a few games off the bench in Philadelphia and OKC several years ago. Um, but I said, if that is the case, that's unfortunate because it's like, dude,
You're
you
37 years old.
well, no, but it's that, but it's like, yo, like for this team to be the best version of itself, it was for you to come off the bench. And once again, Bill Walton did it for us in '86, and they went 67-15. Kevin McHale did it for us later in his career, and they went to 4 straight finals and still made the playoffs just about every year, with him moving to the bench because Reggie Lewis and other guys came about. So you're not Kevin McHale, and you're not Bill Walton. You're not those guys. Um, Once again, hell of a player, 5-time All-Star, 2-time national champion. Probably
And the
one of
reason that free agents even
the
entertain
it
coming
went
to
up to about
Boston.
yeah, exactly. So totally like cannot understate what he's done um in a Southern uniform for the like, but it's like, dude, you you gotta take a step back at this moment. Um, Everyone is taking that sacrifice. You can't have 6 guys on the floor. If there was 6 guys on the floor, then you'd be the 6th guy. But that's not the case. Because of certain nights, he's gonna have nights where he starts anyway. So it's just like it's not something where he's going to just be regulated to being on the bench every game that they play. So and he's still getting 25 minutes a night, which to me is where he should be at, even if he was a starter. He should not be playing 35, 36 minutes. Once again, now in the playoffs, sure. Because he does play a lot better in the playoffs than he does in the regular season. But I hope to answer your question, I hope that's not the case because I think that would be a bad luck on his end because wherever he goes, unless it's somewhere like if we went to like LA, I mean like the Lakers, or we went to even somewhere like the Heat, something like that. Like you're not going to you're not gonna have that same love in another organization like you did here. It's just that simple. So, but
I
I'd want
mean, that'd be crushing if that happened, by the way. Unless they get, but I at this point,
well,
I explicitly trust Brad Stevens to make a good trade if that needed to happen.
but think about this right now. Obviously, anything can happen, so I don't want to make it seem like it's it's a foregone conclusion. But think about if they had traded out to Portland and Rob was still here, right? We'd have talked about, oh my God, how can you have traded Al when Rob is the more injury prone one, and now he's out for the year. That changes the championship dynamic. All that all the circles around the team.
Yeah. Rightfully so, by the way.
Right, rightfully so. But it's just like I don't know. To me, it's like Al, they let you go, they brought you back. So they let you know that Brad fucked with you. Brad Stevens loves Al Horford. Loves him.
Loves it.
It gave him a 2-year extension last year. So it's just like just chill. Just chill. Take you take your 10 million. Hey Maria, hey Anna, how are I hope to see y'all soon because y'all are super cool. Mr. Tito as well as his dad. Like their family is great. They're awesome. And they love it. They love it here. They love it here. So that's just might be frustration, but he ain't going nowhere. He'll be here. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean you just
Hey,
kind
no,
of sparked that, but I will
yeah,
say
so,
that I had Porzingis before you did, so maybe I have Al Horford too.
yeah, maybe so. I mean, I don't know to where that would happen, he would deal him to. I still wanted to bring Blake Griffin back. I felt like he fit in very well here last year, and I think having him here would be cool. Hoping that Nehemiah Queta, gets healthy as well, because I think he's someone that showed out in the preseason. So I want to see if he can give you 8 to 12 minutes a night at that backup big position. So, but I wanted to go into the week ahead because we're getting a little long on time. So, they got Philly on Wednesday, as records on a Tuesday night. They got Philly Wednesday, Toronto Friday, and then we see an old friend Marcus Smart on Sunday night in Memphis at 6 o'clock. So, just how do you see things unfolding? Because those teams, they've already faced Philly, they've already faced Toronto. But obviously, this will be the first time they face Memphis this season. So just what are you looking for them to do as the week closes out?
Yeah, so I want some redemption from Philly. I know it's regular season, but I don't want Embiid to ever think that he is a superior on the superior team whenever Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown are on the opposing team.
Right.
Philly, I think that did a lot of good. They cut the cancer right out of that locker room, and
Right.
you've seen it now. Harden has brought the Clippers. I think they're winless since he got there. So like I feel really bad for you. So I want to see if there's a different way that they can scheme Porzingis with Embiid, because as DK and I talked about last week, Embiid cooked him, like absolutely fucking cooked him. And if that is a situation where you have to play Al more minutes to combat Embiid, you do that, because we do know that Philly paid him like $100 million just so that Embiid didn't go against him years ago. Um, I think that the Toronto game should be an easier type of win. I don't really fear anyone on the Raptors against the Celtics. And then Sunday, I think that you're going to see Marcus Smart go for 35 points, 12 assists, a couple of rebounds. Like, it's going to be the best game of his season so far. I think the Grizzlies are going to lose, as they should. But I think this game on Sunday is going to make people, it's going to, kind of fuel that flame a little bit. Just to, maybe you could have kept him.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah. I'm thinking they go 2-1. I think they beat Philly and Memphis. I think Toronto, I just want to win. Anytime you feel like a team you should smack, I just feel like they smacked them last Saturday. But I just feel like they sometimes those teams get weird nights from players and then they end up winning. Yeah, listen, Philly is deeper than us right now, and that's because of the trade.
Yep.
They have guys at the wing position that can guard Tatum and Brown, which is why it looked difficult last week against them in that loss. So, yeah. But I mean, even then, D'Anthony Melton, Robert Covington, and company says they shouldn't be able to hold a candle to Tatum when he's on. So, I'm hoping Tatum chooses to go game 6 Tatum on him and has a hell of a night. As far as Sunday goes, I could see Marcus Smart having that game, but I feel like that's going to happen when he comes back here, not necessarily out there.
And they raise his banner.
Yeah, exactly. And to give the whole video tribute, I'll be there for it, obviously, but I actually think that we'll finally see the first big Jrue game on Sunday. I think that Jrue says, okay, he was, and they're good friends off the court, actually. So that, they, Marcus Smart helped out Jrue Holiday's foundation. So it's not like there's beef there, but I think, for Marcus Smart, it's going to be beef because it's like, well, they're looking at you as my replacement, looking at you as my upgrade. So he's going to take it personal. But I think that's Jrue Holiday is not going to get emotional about it. He's just going to do whatever he needs to do to get the win. And I'm excited about that. So yeah, I think they go 2-1 the rest of this week. And then, when we talk to y'all next week, we'll be getting into, the matchup against the Bucks. That's what everyone's been waiting for. That's going to be a hell of a matchup. I hope both teams are full goals, so there's no excuse on either end about who's not playing, who didn't play. Because I'm excited about that matchup. But yeah, 8-2, there's a lot to be excited about. They are,
the opposite of the Patriots.
Yeah, exactly. Opposite of the Patriots. Once again, even though Mike won't believe him, someone said they do anything in the playoffs. We do have a hockey team that's playing really well at this moment as well. So once again, we just want competitive sports. It doesn't matter. Once again, it'd be miserable to be in that building and for the Bruins and Celtics to both suck. So I'm glad that when we come into
I
that,
agree.
the chance for them to win. So that's just where I'm at. So, and one thing we always do at MTP Boston, that's all we do is win as well. So for Mike Marcangelo, I'm Hollywood Rayshawn Buchanan, and until next time, as I fall over like Mac Jones, we'll see you. Peace.
Are you a fan of classic cinema or a young person who wants to discover the best films of all time? Do these legendary movies still hold up?
On the Generation Film podcast, two guys who grew up when movies dominated the culture share a great film with a panel of young movie lovers and see how it plays for today's generation.
We discuss changes in storytelling styles, representation,
The making of each film, its initial reception, and how its meaning has changed over the years.
Join us as we explore cinema classics across generations on Generation Film.
Electricast. Hey there, fabulous souls. I'm Stephanie Baklaan.
And I'm Eden Alpert.
And we're the hosts of the brand new podcast, Unapologetically Fab.
Get ready to join us on an amazing and real journey as we dive into life after 40 and own it.
We're all about changing the narrative, leaning into who you are, and living a life by your own design.
Join us as we embrace life unapologetically and redefine success.
This is Unapologetically Fab,
An Electricast production.
See you there.
Electricast. Electricast.